Hey guys, we are live with Trisha and Kiley on the Russell HANTZ show, spilling the reality. Today we have some updates on everything that happened last night in the live feeds. And we're going to talk a little bit about the show, but as I'm sure most of you watched the show last night, we won't dive too heavily into that today, but we are going to give you everything you need to know from the spoilers that happened last night. So if you're not here to listen to spoilers, you're not interested in what's going on the live feeds on CBS All Access, then you should not watch this show. But if you are here to get your daily digest of everything going on the Big Brother live feeds, then here we go. All right, Kylie. I know we left our last episode with left off with Enzo being so excited yesterday to see the backyard. So tell
Yes,
us, so what happened whenever they came on?
they
The
finally, everybody was in the house doing their thing, and somehow Tyler noticed that everything was opening up in the backyard, and he took off running like somebody was after him and ran into the backyard. And it was like these people have not had fresh air in weeks. And they were so excited to see the backyard, and they actually have a really cool setup this year. So they and one of the other people that was most excited for the backyard opening up is Ian. Yesterday we did hit on that he has talked about that he's autistic, and one of the things that comforts him is to rock. And so he is very happy to see the hammock in the backyard, and he ran over there and jumped into the hammock and just posted up for a while.
cute little Ian. Oh, I'm so happy. I know that they were happy, and Enzo was so happy to go outside and play all of the things.
Yeah, they were all just jumping around. They like laid out in the grass, and I'm pretty certain it's artificial grass, but they were just laid
Their
out
turf.
there. Yeah, they were laid out there like making turf angels and just so happy to be outdoors and to have a different space. And the production really brought it this year because there is a lot of different spaces for them to sit. And so I think they're going to be able to segment off and really get into some good game talk.
I know we're all really excited for the hammock time that will happen. We know the best talk goes down on the hammock, and I know I'm always here for the showmances. So the showmances too always start in the hammock. So I
Well,
know
we'll
we're
see.
excited.
We'll see if that happens. But at the very least, Ian is happy to have the hammock. I think he was testing out to make sure it didn't make too many noises. So,
So he could rock at all times.
yes, and just not bother anybody. So worried that the noise is going to bother people. Apparently, that was a problem on his first season. So,
That's crazy. I wouldn't think, like, what? What?
yeah, why does that even matter? But I guess that's how
Okay,
people.
house guests. He must have had some house guests with sensitive ears or something.
Yeah.
All right. So after the house guests went into the yard, we did get some good Big Brother game talk. But all of the game talk didn't involve the right players, not even house guest names that exist in today's game. So tell us a little bit about what happened there.
So, for some reason, this group of people seem to be having a really hard time with remembering each other's names. So, in case y'all didn't know, we have a Taylor, a Trevor, a Sheila, a Deandra, I think, and everybody has other names. And they're even having conversations. There's a conversation with Nicole, Anthony, and Danny where they're talking, and Nicole says how excited she is that David gets another chance. And Danny looks at her and says, "Who?" And just completely doesn't even realize this is a person in the house. In fact, they're even calling him Kevin. And this is really evident with Cody, who had a full conversation with with David, where he calls him Kevin through the whole conversation and talks about how people feel good with Kevin and they're going to keep Kevin safe. And finally, David is like, I'm David.
Oh my gosh, Cody, come on now. Do you even know who you're nominating? Like, did he nominate Kevin and be like,
Meant to be David, kind of
when the
like that.
picture popped up, he's like, that's not who I meant.
Remember that time on The Bachelor when the guy called, I can't remember which bachelor it was, but he called the wrong name and the girl came forward and he was like, no, no.
I think it was Ben season,
Yeah.
maybe.
And he was,
He,
and the girl,
he was
like
like,
backtracked, and it was so cringeworthy. So it's not quite on that level, but I guess until Cody gets out of the house, we're not gonna know if he wanted to nominate David or actually nominate Kevin. So I guess we'll find out.
well, thank goodness he did not nominate freaking the real David because that, I mean, if David would have been on the block again week one, that would have been terrible. So I'm glad. I mean, I'm really sad about Kevin, and we can talk about that a little bit. But wow,
Yeah, so we found this picture and it just shows you some of the names that some of the people have been called. And they even had a wonderful conversation about last year's winner, Jackson Mickey, and they called him Jared. And so it's been entertaining to watch them stumble over each other's names.
and it's so good because like, I would definitely think that this would happen on a season of all new people, but it is so funny
Right.
because it's happening on a season of all stars, and it's like all of these people have played before. You've seen them on your television screen, or at least heard about them in the Big Brother community. So that's
Yeah, and you
funny.
would hope that they would know. And there was also a conversation last night where Keisha did not even realize that Nicole Franzel was a winner. And so that was breaking news. News alert, Nicole Franzel is in fact a BB winner. So I don't know what these people are thinking.
So the conversations kind of hard to keep up with because especially if you're just listening to the feeds and you're not watching the show because you wouldn't know who they're actually talking to if Cody keeps saying, "Yeah, well Kevin, we could put, next week maybe you could go up as a pawn or whatever." And he's like, my name is David." Not Kevin, but
Not Kevin.
okay.
And he calls Kevin also. So it's kind of like a thing of maybe he thinks there's two Nicoles, there's two Kevins, like a names twist where everybody has the same name as someone else. But I just kind of personally think it would be good if David would have popped back and been like, "Okay, Polly, I think that sounds like a really good idea."
Ah, that would have been so good. So good. Um, and also Keisha is calling Tyler, Taylor, and Trevor like within the same conversations. She's saying, "I really like Taylor," or I've enjoyed hanging out with
Yeah.
Trevor. And Kaser's like, "Who? Who are you talking about? Do we have
They
a
got
player I don't know about?"
they have to get it together. That's so funny.
Oh, so I think it's pretty safe to say that if a memory comp comes up, I'd be worried about some of these house
Like
guests.
memory comp, name all 16 house guests.
You're out. Keisha's out. Cody's out. They're not gonna win that one.
Yeah, I don't even know these people's names.
I'm sorry. What's your name again?
That was
Uh,
remember, wasn't it last year when sis and she couldn't figure out how to spell like Julie Chin. She couldn't figure out how to spell Julie, and so she was like, "What is this?"
yeah.
And she was like, JYL.
She spelled it like Jewel, like
What? What's a noun?
Jewel.
What's
Why?
a noun? What's an adjective? We don't know.
These house guests are. It's never a dull moment when it comes to the entertainment of their names. Again, would have definitely expected this on a new player season, but these are all returnees, so. eh, Also, to go back to Cody not knowing David's name, it makes me feel like he doesn't keep up with Big Brother that well, and I think that he's scared of Kaser just because of his intro package. So
Yeah.
I'm going with that theory, conspiracy theory,
Yeah,
Trisha
he
here.
definitely is intimidated by Kaser. I think Kaser is just so intense, even in his conversations, where he seems so interested. Not seems, I think he is genuinely interested in what everybody says, but it's at such an intellectual level. And Cody's
He's just like, well,
conversations are probably on a more surface level, and so I think Kaser intimidates him.
yeah, he's like, I'm just so intimidated by the big words you use.
Yeah.
All right. So moving into our the next few things that were going on the feeds yesterday, the alliances. There have been a lot of talk about alliances, who's with who. We're really starting to put those initial connections together. Um, what are your thoughts on some of the alliances that we've seen so far?
I think one of the things that's really unique with this season is that we don't typically have the feeds at this point. So we're probably missing out on a lot of these. Oh, yeah, I feel really good with you. We're comfortable. You're good. If I win HOH, you don't have anything to worry about. And we probably don't know all of the things that happen in the day two, three, fours, but because we've had the feeds since the beginning, I mean, the only other time that we've had this was on Over the Top. And so I think just seeing these alliances that are setting up that I don't think necessarily are going to hold any impact later, but I do feel like one alliance that is forming that seems to be a little bit stronger is the alliance of Nicole Franzel, Danny, Cody, and Enzo.
Get
And
the
so
blocker out of the way there.
we found this beautiful little chart that shows the tangled web of the BB22 alliances thus far. And the one that definitely is sticking out is this group of four, and they're all trying to have like a little bit of the side alliances, and so it's going to be interesting to see, especially for Cody, who doesn't get to compete next week. So
So the core four, the one that we're seeing, these are stuck like glue, are Cody, Nicole, and who else? And is it this one that's circled?
Enzo, yeah,
Enzo and Danny.
yeah.
So yeah, that's and have they named their alliance?
Well, I think they're kind of working on something. Enzo's calling themselves the Roots. And so I don't know if he's going to go with like a tree metaphor, but him and Cody seem to be at the base of the tree. They're the roots. And so maybe Danny and Nicole are going to be the trunk. And then they're going to have branches and leaves. And
Well, looking at this,
Janelle and Kaser are the acorns underneath.
and where do Taylor and Trevor fall into this?
They're
Tree.
definitely, they're the water. They're the water for the roots.
uh, wow. So, looking at our little web here, the alliance names. Let's just talk about some of these alliance names because I do like some of them. They're pretty good. The one that sticks out to me the most is Down Low Mance with Cody and Kevin. Now,
Yeah.
is Kevin actually Kevin or is Kevin David here?
I don't know. This could be David Kevin, or it could be Kevin Kevin. So we're gonna like how we differentiate between Nicole A and Nicole F. Maybe we can start being like Kevin Kevin and David Kevin.
So it looks like Cody does have a down low mance with the real Kevin, the Kevin that's on the block that he really did put on the block. And so it sounds like with that down low mance being created that maybe he wants to save Kevin this week. And I know we all hope that's the case, especially after the episode aired last night and we got to see some of those private moments with Cody and Kevin where Kevin was crying and yanking on all of our heartstrings. And I mean, I know you're not supposed to play an emotional game, and I give props to Cody for not and acknowledging that. But I just couldn't deal with Kevin crying. Like, please, I don't want Kevin to go home. So
Yeah, I don't
Sorry,
want Kevin to
Keisha.
go home, but his he's got to do something with his self-esteem and just realize that he belongs there. But yeah, his little plea with Cody was really sad. Like I felt bad for him because he just seemed so insecure, and like he's complimenting Cody and he's like, "You're so perfect and you're such a nice person and you're so genuine." And so I don't know, but
Well, hopefully, the down low mans can at least survive for this week. And Cody, we know also from the feeds that Cody's really trying not to take sides and say like who his target is. I say that with air quotes, who his target is. Kind of his diplomatic speech last night. We saw on the show that he was, it's week one and I'm sorry I had to make a decision. That whole speech that we always hear on week one. He's also trying to be so diplomatic that he doesn't even want to tell the house guests who to vote for or who his target is. And I'm
yeah, I
just
mean,
like, what a waste of a first week.
yeah, he's slightly trying to now a little bit say that he would prefer for Keisha to go, and he told Kevin that he would try to nudge the votes, onto Keisha and away from him. So he's starting a little bit to let the house know, but I think everyone had already come to that decision themselves, and I just don't feel like there's much of a chance that Keisha's going to stay unless she does something big. So,
Yeah.
what do you think Keisha can do to save herself?
Um, I don't know if there's anything she can do to save herself, but I know if it were me and I were there, I'm not going to go out quiet. Like I want to be there. I'm going to fight. Like what if I got to lose at this point? It's week 1. I'm on the block. Veto's been played. I've got nothing to lose, so I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to make deals. I'm going to throw Fruit Loops everywhere. I am going to start a riot in that house.
So I was thinking that maybe when she's having one of those conversations with Memphis, and Memphis just has not really been receptive to working with Keisha. And I think maybe if there's anything that she can grasp out of that conversation, if there's any way that she can turn it around on Memphis and just be like, they've got this guys alliance going. Memphis is working with Cody. And even if it's not all completely true, if she can just throw some of it out there and have it stick, and if she can rally some of the votes onto Kevin saying, keep me and I'm going to go after these guys and this guys alliance that's forming. That's the only thing I can think of that maybe she's going to do, because I don't think there's anything specifically that she's going to be able to get onto Kevin.
Right. The only thing I think she could get onto Kevin is, I mean, we all saw her see how emotional Kevin was after the noms were announced,
Yeah,
and she could play that card, like play he's emotional, like he's fragile. It might not be good for him to be here.
right.
I'm still head in the game, ready to play. Like, just give me the chance. That's a
Yeah,
card she could play on.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see, what happens after the veto ceremony that happens today, what she's going to do next and what that next move is going to be. Because I think maybe the fire might turn up a little bit
Yeah.
once that veto ceremony is played and or happens, and then she knows like I'm not coming off the block
Yeah.
and go from there.
Yeah, because every conversation she's having, people like she had a conversation with Enzo yesterday, and Enzo just says, "Oh, well, I don't really know what the house is doing, and I haven't thought about it because we haven't even had the veto ceremony yet." And Enzo holds the veto. So if anybody knows who the two nominees are going to be, it's Enzo. Like either they're changing or they're not based on what you decide to do. So if they're not changing, then the veto ceremony doesn't matter. And every conversation that she has, people are just kind of hedging of, oh, well, I like you both. You're both so nice. And she's not
Yada
really
yada
having,
yada.
yeah, I mean, I think that Janelle and Kaser would prefer for Keisha to be there, but they're not going to put their necks out there and be the only two that vote to keep her. So I think she's in red alert danger.
And the last alliance to really call out here that I'm also loving is the Ian, Nicole A, and Kevin, real Kevin alliance called the Adorkables. I love these three players. I love that they have aligned together and I love their name. It's so cute and I'm here for it. I ship this alliance.
Yeah, I think that especially Ian and Nicole A, like they are just both so
Nah.
little cute, adorable little dorks, and I think that it's perfect for them to be together. And
Yes, I'm glad they
what
brought Kevin in.
yeah, and so I mean, one thing also that we're seeing a lot of on the feeds is this connection with Janelle and Bailey. They don't have anything that's necessarily named, but you can tell that they're really developing a genuine friendship. And I think that that could be good because a lot of these alliances that are forming mention Bailey, and for Janelle to have that connection, I think could be important for her, even if it's just a few weeks, just buying her a few weeks. So
Yeah.
I think that's
Um
important.
And if that line gets added here on our web and we have Janelle, Bailey, Davon as a triangle alliance, that is a strong girl alliance right there.
I love those three
That's a
together.
power three. So wow, at the things that they could do, those three.
Yeah.
So
And Bailey and Davon are also having a really good connection. So I think it's there. I think those three could definitely team
they
up.
have the Black Girl Magic alliance with Bailey and Davon. So yeah, if these three team up, we can. I mean, I'm interested. I'm really interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, same. I
All
agree.
right. So we know, Keisha's on the block. More than likely, we Enzo is not going to use the power of veto. That's just too much for him, as we kind of talked about on yesterday's show. The power of veto ceremony will happen today. We don't see that the noms are going to change.
Yeah.
Um, so Keisha kind of stuck up there. Right now, we see her as she's going to be the one going home. As of today, as of
Yeah.
day 5, we are, Wednesday will be the day that the actual, eviction happens. But as of today, with Keisha going down the path she's going of chill, Keisha, everyone's telling her, it's not you. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet. Knowing dang well all of these house guests know exactly who they're sending home. They don't want to send home Kevin because they feel bad and they love Kevin. Keisha isn't pulling on their heartstrings enough. She needs
Right.
to get to work.
She's got to do something and she's got to turn it up. So I think one of the last things that we want to talk about from the live feeds is the continuing feud between Nicole Franzel and Janelle. So what has happened on the feeds in the last day between these two?
Nicole and Janelle, well, I think it all started with whenever the house guests came into the house, we kind of talked about how there's all these rumors surrounding the weight Nicole F had on production, on the people that were in the house and the powers that be that have this cast together, and the weight pulled to get her into this cast.
Yeah.
So there's just all these rumors circulating. And according to the feeds and the things that Nicole F has said, she claims that Janelle is it behind the rumors saying that that Nicole F was crying to production, saying that she deserves to be on, and that pretty much the only reason she's on is because she's a crybaby. That Janelle and Evil Dick are behind this. So with Janelle being in the house with her, things just aren't going that good. Since Nicole thinks that this rumor was started by Janelle or that she pushed this rumor, she is, I think, scared of her
Yeah.
and worries about what Janelle's perception of Nicole F is. So, what do you think, or what are you hearing on that?
I think that we should get like a ticker, and every time Nicole Franzel brings up Janelle's name, We add to the running
Bing.
totals because Janelle is living rent free in Nicole's head. And every conversation that she has, like where she's like, "Oh, I feel really good with you and me," and what do you think about Janelle? Can you put in a good word with Janelle for me? And every conversation that she has, she ties back to Janelle. And she's telling everyone how she doesn't think Janelle likes her because of their drama from The Amazing Race and their beef with the Riley sisters. So,
Oh
Nicole is,
god.
I don't think Nicole is wrong. Janelle does not seem to like her, but Janelle just has her classic don't give a shit attitude and lets it roll off of her, whereas Nicole does her typical frenzied freak out constant
Yes.
and is I, another thing that I think is we should make Nicole's last name a verb of she is franzeled because that describes her gameplay. It's like a mixture
Instead
of
of frazzled,
frenzy and
she's
panicked. She's franzeled. And we just need to go with that because that's what she is. She's out of control. But it's also typical.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely know Nicole does like to be liked. And that's not necessarily a flaw of hers. Like everyone likes to be liked, but the problem is who she's needing to be liked by being Janelle.
Yes,
Janelle does not give a shit about her. Doesn't care about her. Probably, I mean, she may or may not have started a rumor, spread a rumor, encouraged a rumor, but she definitely, I mean, in this house where Janelle is trying to play a game, she's not going to care about personal feelings.
for sure. All
So
right, that's
definitely
great.
interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, so
Um,
over the next few days, I think that we are going to continue to see this obsession of Nicole Franzel wanting to get on Janelle's good side.
and
But
that's some tea right there,
yeah,
you
because
know.
that's not going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. It would be really interesting to see if Janelle wins HOH. I mean, she might
Sh-
target
I think she'll
Nicole.
for sure target her. Maybe we should like what do you think is more likely? Will Janelle like Nicole Franzel or will Cody call David the right name? Which one will happen first?
Oh, if I was a betting woman, which I am, I I would think that Cody's probably going to learn David's actual name first.
Check, I agree.
We'll just add that to David's list of accomplishments so far in the house
Yeah.
to get
Speaking
the H.
of David's accomplishments, this is a really good segue into our tweet of the day. And today's tweet of the day is going to go out to whoever is running David's Twitter account while he is in the house because yesterday they posted this gem of David's accomplishments.
Let me get this popped up for everybody.
Mood because we survived PV22 week 1 nomination.
Claps to David and whoever's managing his account because yes, if you watch David's season,
This is a whole
he didn't
mood.
this is a whole
This is
this
a
is
whole mood for the day.
so shout out to David's Twitter person, whoever's running David's account, you're doing great. And
That's classic.
this is the mood for the week all
Yeah, the
week.
whole week.
Chilling. He's like, I'm not on the block. Maybe I'm not on the block on accident because the HOH didn't know my name,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Thank God my name is not actually Kevin because I don't know what would have happened.
So shout out to David, whoever's running David's account. You're doing awesome. Keep up the great work, and you win tweet of the day.
Yay!
All right, so that takes us into closing pieces of our episode. Those are kind of all of the spoilers that we have that have happened on the live feeds in the past day. Do we want to talk a little bit about just a few things on the episode because we did talk about on our spoilers the safety suite and how that looked. So it was pretty exciting to see that actually play out on last night's episode. So we can just hit on that really quick before we close
Yeah,
out.
especially since that's something that we didn't get to see. The feeds were blacked out for that hour and a half or however long it took for them to decide to go into the safety suite and to do the competition. So I as I watched Kaser run up the stairs, all I could think was, "Don't trip, don't trip," because he waited till the
You
last
have
second.
10 seconds.
And just, I feel like CBS should have done like a slow mo of him running to the door and just
Played the
right there,
music
last
like
second. Yeah. So,
yeah.
do you think it was a good decision for Janelle to also play in the safety competition?
No, not at all. I love Janelle. We are Janelle stands here, but I don't know what she was thinking. Maybe she was just scared. Or maybe like because of lack of knowledge, maybe of how it worked, and in the moment she was
Yeah.
sitting right there. I don't know what happened, but I don't really know why she played. She wasted her key card.
Yeah, because I think there was some confusion. Janelle was under the impression that if nobody won, then nobody would be safe. And so, because she asked them what would have happened if they both would have timed out, and production told them, I guess, that there would have been some type of tiebreaker. But going into it, I think Janelle was under the impression if Kaser didn't win, then nobody would
Nobody
be
won.
safe. And so
Yeah,
she was trying to maybe increase their odds, but knowing that one of them was going to be safe and that the other one would have saved, if Janelle would have won, she would have saved Kaser. So with Kaser going in, Janelle would have been safe. So it's a little disappointing that she went in and
wasted that. We don't want her
wasted
to
it.
go. So
Yeah.
that's the only reason.
She needs all the chances to keep herself safe because
Yeah,
we need her. Just the difference in the DRs between Janelle and Kaser, they're just such natural storytellers and so funny in the DR that we have to keep them.
we
We have
have
to
to we
keep
have to
them around
protect them at all costs.
at all
So
costs.
Taylor, Tyler, Trevor, whoever gets HOH next week, please
Don't come for them.
don't come at Janelle, okay?
Please keep her safe. All right, do we want to take some questions? I think
Yeah,
we've got
let's
a few
let's go to the
here.
comments. We have a few minutes. See if we have any comments with questions. I love this comment from our friend Alex. Enzo is the sap sap.
Yeah, he's the sap sap on the tree, and that's perfect. Also, from last night's show, Enzo gets the commentary award for calling Janelle's costume a bootleg Teletubby.
She's the off-brand Teletubby, which she's a beautiful Teletubbies. I don't know about y'all, but Teletubbies kind of creep me out. So I
She
don't know.
looks she looks beautiful in her
She's
star costume.
she's a more better Teletubby to me than the actual Teletubbies.
Right, instead of a bootleg, she's like the high-end version.
Yes, she's the beyond name brand.
Yeah. High fashion.
All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have any other questions or comments in our feed. Lots of gameplay comments today. I'm really enjoying that, guys, and we'll be sure to hit on some of those comments in our next episode when we're talking about the gameplay.
All
Let's
right, that sounds
see.
great.
Oh, here a question popped up. Who do you think of Kaser or Janelle wins HOH will be on the blog. So if Kaser or Janelle win HOH, who do we think that they'll put on the blog?
I mean, we've talked about if Janelle wins, Nicole Franzel is going to be up there.
She's gonna
I
go up or be backdoored.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Janelle's target will 100% be Nicole F. Kaser's a little more interesting because you do see him having these genuine conversations with almost everybody. He had a really interesting conversation with Bailey. He's had some good conversations with Ian. And I mean, I didn't realize it, but Kaser apparently is also on the autism spectrum. And
Mm.
so they had a really interesting and deep conversation. And so I think Kaser's more of the wild card as to what he would do, but I think it would definitely be some new school people. So,
Yeah. We could only hope. The fans in us can only hope that it would be some new school people, maybe even Cody because he targeted Kaser this week and that got back to him.
yeah.
So it would be, a pretty easy move. One other comment that was made on the feeds about nominations was Kevin saying if he was making a deal and he said if he wins HOH next week that he would target Janelle and Kaser and use an excuse of because they went for the safety suite this
Yeah.
week and he knows they can't do it again so they could be safe. What do you think about that?
I'm not here for that. Leave Kaser and Janelle alone. So if Kevin is coming for them, I'm not here for a Kevin HOH. I just have to have a different outcome than winners at war. I need
Yeah,
the old school people. They don't even I would love to see Janelle or Kaser win, but I just need them to make it further into the game than where we lost Parvati and Boston Rob and Ethan. They've got to get further into it for
yeah,
me.
I definitely agree with that, but I also wonder if Kevin was just saying that to buy himself time and
Yeah.
to, kind of make a deal and say, "Hey, like if I win HOH," knowing he might want to throw the HOH and not win. I
Yeah.
mean, might
Yeah.
be his plan of action depending on. I mean, if I were Kevin in that scenario, I would say you know, maybe go to Janelle and Kaser and say, "Hey, just letting you know, I'm going to throw the HOH comp next week, but if y'all win, please don't put me up." Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, all
We'll
right. Well,
see. We'll
that
see what happens.
that wraps up our show today. Just don't forget to check out our Instagram and Twitter. Our handles are listed here on the screen, but for those of you who are just listening to the show, it's at reality_TRHS, which is RealiTEA, like the drink, underscore TRHS. Um, Check us out on IG and Twitter for the latest and greatest. We'll be back here 12 o'clock tomorrow. So be sure you subscribe to Russell Hantz's page on YouTube so that you will get notifications whenever we're going up. So 12 o'clock every day so that you can enjoy us during the lunch hour time. So we look forward to giving you guys another update tomorrow on where these alliances are landing, who's doing what, and all of the crazy backyard shenanigans that are happening. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. And that's it for reality. Cheers. Bye,
Cheers.
guys.